Hey y'all, it's Jo. Who's ready to learn the Tunisian granny stitch? So I put together a tutorial to teach y'all the granny Tunisian row. Tunisian, how are we even going to say this? Tunisian granny stitch, maybe. It's not a square like the traditional granny square, but it is the stitch that is done like crochet rows, crochet granny rows, or crochet granny stripes. So this is the Tunisian version that I kind of figured out based on how to do it, you know, the crochet version. So I'm not an expert by any means. If y'all have any questions at all whatsoever, please don't hesitate to ask. And I hope it's all right. I know I kind of watched, you know, some of it, and I fast forwarded through a lot of places where you'll see it sped up so you're not bored watching me do this thing going down the whole row, you know what I mean? So I think there were a few spots where I almost went off camera like this, way down here. So I'm sorry about that, y'all. But it is what it is, right? So let me go ahead and run that for y'all, and thanks for watching. Hey y'all, it's Jo, and I just wanted to show you a real quick tutorial of how I did the Tunisian granny stitch. Now what I have here is the traditional granny square in crochet, and you know, it's worked in the round. Now I know you can also do crochet granny rows, which would look more similar to the Tunisian crochet, which I'm about to tell you, where you go back and forth. So, so it's the Tunisian crochet granny stitch that I am going to show you is not done as a square, but in rows. So I just wanted to point that out to y'all. And I'll toss that aside and pull this over and try to explain to you exactly what I did here for Tunisian. This is not a tutorial of how to Tunisian crochet, although you might pick it up real quickly, because if you crochet, you can Tunisian crochet, and it's a lot of fun. So let's get started. So for this tutorial, I am using this Caron Cotton Cakes by Yarnspirations. This is a size 4 weight. It's a 60 cotton, 40 acrylic. The colorway is Aqua Breeze. And I am also using this Furls Tunisian hook I just got in the mail the other day, so I'm super excited to try it. I do use these metal ones. I think they're Susan Bates. I'm not sure. Can't remember. And I also absolutely love my set of Knitter's Pride Gingers. These are the corded hooks, and well, that's upside down, isn't it? But anyway, you get the idea. And I absolutely love these and recommend them. Also, I am not affiliated or sponsored or anything by anyone in any way whatsoever. This is just me and my stuff. So let's get on with the tutorial. Now I have here, just to show you real quick, before we start, if you know how to do the granny rows, then you may have learned it in this way, where you have 2 stitches on one end, and then you'll end with 2 stitches, 2 double crochets, right? And on the next row, you will have 1 double crochet here. It's kind of hard to see. And then you'll have your cluster. And then when you get to the end of the row, you'll have a cluster, and you end with 1 double crochet. So this is the kind of the way that I figured out how to do it with Tunisian. So I will show y'all right now what I learned, what I taught myself. Okay. Okay, so here we go. The first thing we're going to do is make a slip knot. Now this pattern is worked in multiples of 3. So if you want to go ahead and chain however big you want your project to be, go ahead and, or you just want to do a little test swatch like me. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, so I chained 21. Next part, to do the traditional starting row for Tunisian crochet, which I'm pretty sure is the same as always. We go into the first loop. If you want to go into the back humps, that's always the best, I think, to do that with any project you want to start, but for time's sake, because that is a little bit more time consuming, we're just going to go into the stitches, pull up a loop, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, and you'll start gathering all these loops on your hook, which is why you need a long hook or cord. So let's do that. Go into the stitch, pull up a loop. Do that all the way to the end. Try to remember not to make these tight, right? We want to keep it, you know, not too loose, but definitely not tight. Okay. All right, so there we are. We have our loops on our hook, and since we chained 21, let's make sure we have 21 loops on our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We're good to go. We're going to do the return pass that you normally would do for Tunisian crochet, and that would be yarn over, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 all the way to the end. Okay, all right, so now that we're at the end and we've yarned over and pulled through 2, we have our 21 stitches in Tunisian crochet. Now to start the first row, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to do what you would do for a double crochet, a regular double crochet. We're basically going to do that, but we're not going to complete the stitch. And the reason why is because when you do that return pass, that's what completes the stitch on your way back. Okay, so for this first row, we're going to chain 2, because you would normally chain 3, right, in a regular double crochet row startup. So we're going to chain 2, and we're going to yarn over, and we're going to go into this space between the bars. You see this front bar here, this front bar, and there's a back bar right there, or leg. So we're going in between. We're going into this space right here. So we're going to yarn over, go into the space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That would be the beginning of our double crochet. And to finish, we would yarn over and pull through 2 more, correct? But we're not going to, because we're only going to do that first part of the double crochet. So this is going to give us the 2 double crochets here at the beginning of this row. Now, due to the nature of the Tunisian crochet, we didn't actually have a stitch that we could have put that second double crochet in with the first one. So that's why we just went into that space. But we are counting this space as our first space, and then we're going to count this as our second space. So we're skipping 2 spaces, we're yarning over, and we're going to insert our hook into that third space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Let me do that again. Let's bring the sample back. We have, since we did our first chain, which counts as our double crochet, and then we did our second double crochet, we can't really put another double crochet into this spot right here that this chain is coming out of, so we just stuck it next to it in that space. But we're still counting this space as empty, as our first space, and this is our second space right here. And then we're going to put our cluster of 3 into the third space. So here we go again. 1 space, 2 spaces, third space, yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we're going to put 3 stitches into this space. So that's the first half of our first double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And now we're going to add our third double crochet, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So if we look closely, now we have the 3 uncompleted double crochets in the third space from the end. So we have our 2 on the end, we skip 2 spaces, we have 3 in the third space. And now we're going to skip 2 more spaces and put our next granny cluster into that. So here's the next bar here. So there's a space right there. Here's our next space. That's 2 spaces right there. Here's our third space. Yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to do this 3 clusters. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have 3 uncompleted double crochets in this space. We skipped 2 spaces, and we have 3 double crochets in that space. And we're going to do this all the way to the end. So there's 1 space, there's our second space, and now this space we're going to put our next granny cluster. Now we have our beginning and 3 clusters. Let's do this again. Here's this 1 space, oops, 1 space, 2 space, space number 3, another granny cluster. Oops, I'm sorry if I was going off camera. Okay, let's do this to the end, till we get to the end, and I'll meet you back there. Now here we are coming to the end, and we have 2 spaces left. I know it's kind of hard to see, but if you know Tunisian, you know what to look for. So we have 2 spaces here. So what we're going to do is, since we did 2 on this end, we're going to do 2 on this end. So we're going to yarn over and go into actually this space, right? Insert, pull up a loop, pull through 2. And then the very last stitch on Tunisian is usually done in these 2 back bars. Let me grab this. If you turn it sideways, you can see these 2 bars on the side. That's your stitch right there on the side when you did your chain to come back. You chained 1 and then you came back and pulled through 2 all the way back. So that's your chain. So that's the stitch that you go into to do your last half double crochet. So you yarn over, insert into there, pull up a loop, pull through 2. So here we are with our first row halfway completed with our granny clusters. In order to complete them is the same way that you do just about any return pass on Tunisian, which is yarn over, pull through 1, and yarn over, pull through 2, all the way back. Yarn over, pull through 2, 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 all the way back. And it. When that happens. And here we are at the end of our first row of granny clusters. And you're saying to yourself, well, that doesn't really look like too much like a granny cluster. If you look closely at it, you see how this is how every end row is with Tunisian, and that kind of fills itself out when you go back. So it'll fill out. Now this was another thing I was telling y'all about in my practicing with learning how to teach myself how to do this stitch. I was not happy with these yarn overs that are showing up in between the clusters. So I'm going to show y'all how to get rid of that or hide it so it's not in your work. So yes, so to start the next row, remember this row had 2 double crochets on the end. So the next row will start with 1 double crochet on the end, and this space right here is where the first cluster will be. So we're going to chain 2 for our first half of our first double crochet, and we're only doing 1. And then we're going to yarn over, and we're going to put our granny cluster here with our 3 double crochets partial double crochets, right? So in order, you would want to just go in there and do your double crochet like this, right? Well, that leaves this bar here. So what we're going to do is do our yarn over. We're going to scoop, just go in and scoop it up and bring it up to the top. And then we pull through 2. And now that bar has been hiked up here to the top of the stitch. And it's just that simple to move it up there. It raises it up. I don't think it makes it look bad at all. I think it's a good thing. I like it. I like that it hides that bar or that yarn over that's in the middle, because that's what made my first sample look so messy. So let me show you that again. This is what it will look like with this yarn over and this bar right here in the middle of your big open stitch. So we're going to yarn over and put our hook and go right underneath that and yarn over and pull through 2. And now we can continue our granny cluster. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pick up a loop and pull through 2. So there's our first granny cluster in that space. Now we're not chaining 1 like sometimes you do in granny stitches between the clusters. There's no chaining 1 here. So we're going right into the next cluster in this space here. But remember, we're going to scoop this up. We're going to scoop that up and just bring it up there. So we're yarning over. We go underneath that other bar, yarn over bar, pull up a loop and pull through 2. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, pull through 2. And there we have our second granny cluster on our second granny cluster row. And you see this? This is the bar that we are scooping under. It's going to be for our next row. So we yarn over, and we're going on to our next granny cluster. And we're going to do 3 partial double crochets into this cluster. And we'll do that all the way down. Scoop up the bar. I don't know what its official name is, but that's what I'm calling it. 3, scoop, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, scoop, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, scoop, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we're coming to the end of our second granny cluster row, and we started with 1 on the end, and so we're going to end with 1 on the end, and we're going to do it in this back and this side bar right here. So we're going to yarn over, insert. Sometimes you got to make sure you don't get all 3 of those. Pull up a loop, pull through 2. And there we go. So now we'll do our return pass, which is yarn over, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2 all the way back. Oops, I need more yarn here. Pull through 2, 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 pull through 2. And there we have, oops, 2 rows of the Granny Tunisian stitch. So to start the next row, we're going to have the 2 double crochets on the end, because this row has the 1 and then the cluster. So we're going to yarn over and chain 2, and then we're going to yarn over and go into the space. Remember the space, pull up a loop, pull through 2. So now we're going to have 2 double crochets on the end of this row. Now we have our granny cluster here, so we're going to our space to start our next cluster. And remember to scoop up this bar. So yarn over, scoop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, pull through 2. So there's our first cluster on this row, and we will do this all the way down to the end. Yarn over, scoop, pull up a loop, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, pull through 2. Okay, so here we are at the end of the 3rd granny cluster row, and we are going to do our 2 stitches just like we started with on this end. So we're going to go into this space, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and then we're going to go into the side bar, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, pull through 2. Now let's do the return pass. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way back. Okay, so let's do one more row of the single double crochet at the beginning, because this was the 2 at the beginning. So we chain 2, and our first cluster goes right here. So we're going to scoop that bar up, yarn over, scoop, pull up a loop, pull through 2. And we're going to put 2 more in there for a total of 3, and move on to our next space. right here. Okay, so yarn over, scoop, pull up a loop, pull through 2, yarn over, start, pull up a loop, pull through 2. Okay, so we're coming to the end of this row, and remember we started with 1 double crochet here. We're going to end with 1 double crochet into this side of this stitch. And now we can do our return pass. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way back. And there we have 4 rows of granny stitch. Okay, so here we are. We did our 4 rows of the granny cluster, and we're going to do a single crochet bind off because you really don't want to leave it looking like this with this open area. Plus you got to get rid of these yarn overs, right? So to bind off, we're going to insert into this first space right here, pull up a loop, pull through 2. There's our single crochet, right? And we're going to do that in each space down the line. Single crochet. Now when we get to this space here, we're going to scoop that up again for our bind off. So scoop, single crochet, single crochet. In the spaces, single crochet, and scoop, single crochet, and single crochet all the way down to the end. Scoop, scoop, and there we are at the end. I just did the single crochet here in the space on the very end. Let's count how many we have on top here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Just what we started with, right? So we started with 21, we end with 21, and we're done. So let's look at this compared to the sample I had up here. And we can kind of see that this one might be a little more sloppy. Working around this thing. This was also done with a 5mm, with this hook here with the 5mm. So that could make a big difference too, with having looser stitches that might look more sloppy. So play around with your hook sizes. Oh, I just pulled a stitch out. Play around with your hook sizes, and you might find the one that looks right with the yarn you're using, with the stitch you're using. Have fun with it, and I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial. I hope I have taught this well, and please let me know if you have any questions down below. So yeah, thank y'all so much. Bye.